anything?
No. It's that Tiger King documentary. I'm looking to raise a few cubs.
So, is that a yes or a no?
Depends how much milk they need from my nest. Tim, I'll get back to you on this, all right?
All right. Stay in touch. Let me call up Rabbit, see how he feels about this.
Hey. Oh, what up, Tim? What up, Boo-Boo?
Oh, I'm just thinking about you. Say, how do you feel about doing a season 2 of Last Man Standing?
Tim, are you fucking retarded? No, I ain't doing that shit.
What the fuck else you got going on?
Nothing, but dude, I'm just not dealing with the privilege bullshit. I ain't dealing with Tim privilege no more. It's not happening.
What Tim Privilege shit? I am fucking tired of this.
Oh, did someone say Tim Privilege? I heard it. Somebody said it. Somebody said the Tim Privilege. I know they did.
Well, what the hell? How'd you...
All right, time to put Tim on blast.
Okay, what's going on here?
We're in a conference call, Tim. Go with the times.
Okay, we're all here now, Tim. What's up?
I want to put together another season of Last Man Standing, but everybody has a branch up their ass.
I want to buy a cat.
I got important anime to watch. I'm gonna take a pass on that one.
I got fucking nothing going on in my life. What do you mean? Like, I'm just here chilling, listening to the boy. Hello?
So, Lex, you in?
Yeah, I'm in, baby.
Rabbit, Turbo, I need commitment from both of you. You in?
Rabbit, I'll do it if you do it, but I guess I have to put my fucking tigers on hold.
Turbo, bud, I love you, but I'm gonna have to pass. There's dudes in the hills that need to be fucked.
Rabbit, I'm gonna buy you an astronaut body pillow. How about that?
I've always wanted a body pillow. Fuck it, I'm in, let's go.
So, we're all good to go.
I'm ready, baby, let's go!
Let's go, body pillow time, let's do this.
I'm a bit nervous, not gonna lie.
Hello, how are you? Welcome back to Last Man Standing Wins. The return, baby. Season 2. I am so excited, dude. You and I had to go an entire month without Last Man Standing. Can you believe that? Well, we're back. And, of course, Season 2 has an entirely new spin to it. Season 1 was draft your own gun and draft your own perk. In Season 2, everything is luck-based. Everything is RNG-based. You get one mystery box spin for a random gun, and you get one random perk drop. You no longer pick your own fate. Your fate is sealed through the RNG gods. And the way Season 2 works is that each episode is going to be a specific game in terms of weapons. So, Episode 1 here is World at War guns. Episode 2 is Black Ops 1 guns, and so on and so forth throughout each game. Each Zombies game, that is. Unfortunately for this World at War episode, we weren't able to port in the guns to the mystery box, so you're going to have to download the mod if you want to do the authentic World at War version like we are. The mod is in the description as well as the map. That's right, these maps are public now. You have access to them through the Steam Workshop. That's right, you can play them. You and your buddies can get together and see who survives the longest in this twisted, fucked up world we've created for you. And speaking of creators, Emox is the developer for these Season 2 maps. His link is in the description. And in the description, you will find some badass posters. No, badass is an understatement. You will find some godly posters down there of the four of us in this Last Man Standing Win series. Turbo, Lex, Rabbit, and I, all in our own individual environment. Dude, they're so cool. You gotta check them out. They're super high quality, really affordable. I'm getting some. They're amazing. Also, there are some other posters as well that are unrelated to Last Man Standing. I think they're also pretty cool. Don't be afraid to look at them. Wink, wink. All right. Back to the video.
All right, I'm fully recorded. I'm fully fertilized. Let's do it.
Right.
You guys ready to take these L's?
Oh, there it is. Right as we start Season 2, and we
Here we
pick
go,
up where we left
baby.
off.
Type of chat.
Here we go.
Where we left off with the chat here.
I need to type profanities.
My heart. My achy, breaky heart.
All
Why
right.
can't I type? This is horse shit.
Welcome to. It has been a long time in the making. How many weeks has it been, guys? Like 3-4 weeks?
At least 2.
It's
Oh my-
it's over.
At least two. It's been like a
It's over a month. It's over a month.
It's been
over a month.
It's been over a month for sure, and I hope you guys have been anticipating the series as much as we have. We're super excited to bring you Season 2. It's gonna be really
Let's get into
It's gonna be
Listen, I
really,
tested this
really
map and I
unfair.
got dead shot. So if I get Crazy Rabbit's dead shot, I'm gonna be
That's just unfair. You would win.
Whoa! Let's go! Yo!
Oh shit!
Wait, what happened right now?
Give me one. You want Tim?
We can't revive them either because he coded that out. We can't revive them.
You see?
He literally
We literally just joined.
You guys suck!
Let's go.
Bro, Turbo, 1v1 me. 1v1 me. No, I'm kidding.
Lex, it was an honor.
Please,
down.
please,
Come on, girl.
please, 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 please. Thank God. All right. Sick. Look at this map, dude. Look at this
After
map.
5 attempts, the
Look at the
top
grenades. Dude, those look sick.
Yeah, we got some World of War grenades. Look at that.
Shut. Tim, I swear to fucking God.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do this in orderly fashion, okay? Crazy Rabbit, you're spinning the box first. Go ahead, buddy.
Whether you're trimming trees, cleaning gutters, painting the house, or hanging holiday lights. If you're working outside with a ladder, lift,
Head, buddy.
No, that was Turbo.
What?
Go ahead, whoever.
Yeah, Turbo, you go.
Okay, all right, wait a minute. I'm doing Hail Marys, Lex. Calm down. Okay, wait a minute.
Your first thing is suck. What do you even
All right, here we go. Come on, no whammies. Come on, big money, big bucks. No whammy, no whammy. Come on.
Oh! Oh my God. Dude, he almost got the Thunder Gun too, and the Thunder Gun isn't even in World of War.
Oh, hey, what's that pistol you got there, man? That's pretty cool. I
Dude,
like it.
how does it feel? How does it feel? Dude, I like season 2 already, man.
Oh, it's kind of good.
Alright, Rabbit,
Dude,
go
I
on.
like season 2.
Do
I don't even need to look at it. I don't even need to look. It's gonna be a fucking ray gun.
I hope to get something. What is
Turbo,
happening?
Turbo, I have to apologize.
Bro, these World of War guns suck ass. Alright, Lex, go ahead.
Watch. Tim's gonna get the one ball.
Lex,
Tim's
go
gonna
ahead,
get the one
bud.
ball, and me and Rabbit are gonna be.
Tim, I'm hoping for no Tim privilege here, boys.
Oh
Get
my
a fucking
God.
ray
What's
gun.
that?
What is that?
You get the DP-28?
I got the dinner plate gun, boys.
Tim's gonna get a one ball.
Let's get into it. Come on, an LMG. Oh, that is an SVT-40. I mean, that's...
Dude, I wonder who's gonna win.
I think this is a semi-automatic. It's actually probably not that great, but...
What the fuck is this? I never saw this
Lex,
in
you know
my
what?
life.
I'm gonna pull up the target burns down.
Okay. So
I live in
here's...
Canada, I have no target.
Well, I hope your fucking Tim Hortons burns down.
Not the Tims, bro. Not the Tims.
Alright, so,
The skeleton right there, that's me. Right now, I'm dead.
So we have all of our World of War guns out of the box. It was totally random, of course, and this is a free random perk drop. It's going to give us all a random perk. And so we were going to do a Wonder Fizz machine, but of course that didn't end up working out with the coding and everything. So
I like it.
everybody get ready.
Turbo,
3, 3,
next
3,
week, Turbo.
3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Blast!
Oh, shit! Alright.
Jug! I got Jug!
I got Jug too, guys.
So we got Jug, Widow's Wine. I got fucking Deadshot Daiquiri, so I'm living it up over here.
Tim got that shot. They knew me, fucking Rabbit, and Lex. I mean, Lex
Turbo, I
got
want to be near you, bud.
Okay, so you guys got shitty pistols, but pretty good perks. I got a decent gun.
Widow's Wine, baby.
I got
Let's go.
a decent
you,
gun,
bud,
but
me
I
and
got a
you.
shitty
Oh,
perk.
Rabbit, give
We
me
gotta-
kiss
we
the
gotta
cheeks.
stick together.
Alright.
Oh, Rabbit, I
Dude,
love
are we like above buried or something right now? Where are we?
I asked for buried zombies.
We're in-
Funny enough,
we're
I
in-
wanted buried
oh.
zombies, but we got Shangri-La zombies instead.
That's so cool. I love these berries.
Also, lads, season 2 is Ultimus Crew. Last time in season 1 we did Primus, and this one it's Ultimus. That's another cool little change. Each season we'll do a new cast of characters, and this gun is already giving me issues. I'm already wondering.
I don't want to hear you for the whole video. You need to just work on your
Christ
kills. I don't
almighty.
want to hear you.
I have a feeling this is actually not gonna
Here,
last.
here.
Oh, thank God. Thank
I swear,
God.
Lex gets every drop of magic.
Wait a minute.
Dude, I'm really liking season 2 so
Is the
far.
Lex Death Machine gonna come back? Is the Lex Death Machine fucking...
No, speaking of Death Machine, there we go.
Oh,
We don't even get rounds anymore. It just constantly goes. You know?
Everyone want a nuke. Everyone want a nuke.
It's one of those things.
Honestly, straight up, yeah.
When I shoot up that pistol, I said no whammy. That's how it works. I said no whammy, big bucks, and they still gave me shit.
Bro, it's round
What is
5
this
already.
doing?
Rachel got some
He's round.
communist pistols.
Holy
Bullshit.
I didn't spawn you over here.
What, help! Help!
I could help you.
Oh no.
Should I? I got a death machine.
Rabbit.
I'm throwing nades. I'm throwing nades.
Oh, already helped it!
I love how it's only like round 6 as well. It's got a whole horde
Oh
already.
my God, this is absolutely,
What the fuck?
this is absolutely
God.
I
insane.
got you, bud. I got you. Oh, I threw a grenade at myself.
That's okay.
Hang on.
It's okay. It's okay.
Absolutely
It's all right.
insane gameplay.
You actually fucked me. If I would have thrown it back, I would have been dead.
Well, don't do that.
Oh my god, this is actually getting
Oh
way
my
too
God.
intense.
You know what's awesome? When it takes an entire magazine to kill him in the head.
I'm so excited to get to the Black Ops 1 guns, though. Oh my god, it's gonna be a field day.
I'm throwing all of my grenades for you.
My gun is becoming less good.
Oh my gosh, you got
Oh, thank God.
Thank you.
These drops are absolutely so clutch.
Three of us are basically fucked, while Lex is over here on like a vacation.
Yeah, I'm taking my time.
What gun do you have, Lex? What gun do you have?
I have the dinner plate gun and Juggernog.
What is the dinner plate gun? Is that an LMG?
It's an LMG.
Are you fucking kidding
It's
me?
like-
I got a stupid, like, I basically got the Gewehr is what I got. Just a different name.
Wait, what's the gun you got also, Tim?
I got the SVT-40, which isn't a zombie gun.
SVT. I thought that was like a World War II.
Isn't that a sniper?
It's like it's a lot like the Garand, the Gewehr.
Russian
It's like
semi-automatic.
Semi-automatic. It's like basically a good starting room weapon is what this is the equivalent of. Ammo is becoming a problem really quickly, actually.
Oh, really, Tim? Really?
Oh no.
Guys, I'm the first down. I'm literally the first down.
Oh, of course, they're all coming for Tim! Right next door!
Gun.
Sick!
Dinner plate, I literally ran out of ammo.
Fucking
I
great!
couldn't do anything.
Wow, Lex! Nice! Nice, Lex!
Turbo, how is
Grab
this
it.
possible?
Get
How
that
is
on
this
the
possible?
pistol.
Right now?
Bruh, this is already coming to a close. This is already coming to a close.
Dude,
Oh,
the dinner plate
shit.
let me down, bro. I couldn't kill a single zombie with
Oh,
it.
no, I'm fucked. Wait,
I got like the
you can't
least
get one, right?
exciting gun of all time, I
Yeah.
swear.
Your gun
doesn't exist!
Rabbit, what is happening?
Ah.
Rabbit?
We're sitting here training with 1911.
I'm bleeding out! Oh, there I go.
I can't believe that.
Christ.
Turbo's best weapon is his Widow's
I'm throwing my Ben 10 grenades right at the zombies.
Wait,
I haven't seen
Rabbit.
it anymore.
Rabbit, let me see what you got. Let me see what gun you got. Oh, okay. That's probably
Oh
shit.
my god.
Turbo, what did you get?
I got the Walther P38. It sounds like a fucking SAT section.
Bro, we all got dog shit. World of War actually has some pretty good weapons, too. It's a shame we got the shittiest ones possible.
I'm happy to Rabbit. I'm trying to. Shoot, little by little.
Winning in Season 1 was, like, good because, you know,
Oh,
you got to
fuck.
pick your own fate. In Season 2, winning is just, like, a pure fucking RNG. Like,
Oh, God.
I can't wait for this season, dude. I cannot wait.
Oh, man.
Bro, but this is the thing. I got
My
the
balls.
best setup. I died first, man.
I mean, yeah, that's
They're
also
both help us
true.
both
It's
out
a
here,
totally
buddy.
kind of mystery.
I got cornered by the what was it?
Out here, bud.
Oh, guys, can you guys spawn in, guys? Can't spawn in.
No,
I got
no.
cornered because I couldn't even kill one of the zombies.
They got
with a
coded
TP.
out. You can't revive
I have
people
no
anymore if you
ammo
don't
and nothing. I
respawn.
have no ammo and nothing.
Oh,
No
shit.
ammo and nothing.
Dude, Widow's
No
Wine?
ammo and nothing.
Widow's Wine is huge for this, though. Oh my
I know
god.
it is. I know. That's why I got screwed and I got blessed. So.
Jeez.
This is hard to watch, man. I feel so bad.
Oh, he's got one more. He's got one
No,
more.
I have one more grenade left. No.
Come on,
Rabbit
buddy,
might
come on.
take episode.
Although
It's a
that
rabbit
Widow's Wine
grenade.
knife is actually pretty helpful too.
I know, but it took Oh, what was that? Oh, I got a
Oh,
grenade.
that's a nade. You got another nade.
I got. It's crazy how it took Rabbit last episode to win one, and he's gonna win the first one for season 2. It took Rabbit 10 episodes. The bonus one.
Season 2's the year of Rabbit.
Let's go. The year of the rabbit,
No,
bro.
Rabbit, I wouldn't be afraid to just toss some nades. You feel?
Nah, man, I don't want them spawning back in.
Oh,
they got
shit!
Oh, they got
Nice.
That changes things up right there.
Oh, yeah, we got more ammo on our shitty pistols
got
now.
more ammo.
Yay.
My pistols are giving me white hit markers. The white hit markers are basically saying to me, Turbo, just stop.
The perks that got eliminated from contention are,
Heavy
Mule
Pro.
Kick, Quick Revive, Tombstone, Double Tap 1, of course, and
They kind
Who's
of
Who.
spawned me in a shield.
Everything else is game. And I'm pretty sure they have some Black Ops 4 skins.
No, I won't do it, Lex. I will not go down this way. I will not go down.
Come on, Turbo. Be a pal.
My man was. Oh no! Get out of there!
Lex, I need you to be like my coach.
God,
Like an
that
NFL
blue line is saving your ass.
You don't even understand. There have been multiple times where he's been cornered, but he gets one grenade and comes out of it.
Dude, I'm trying my ass off over here. I'm quiet. I'm not saying anything offensive. I'm fucking trying, man.
Oh my god.
An occupied rabbit is a not sexist rabbit.
Oh my gosh, dude.
If
I've
Rabbit's
never seen two men try so hard.
I'm getting this, dude. I'm getting this.
It's crazy
It's
how
so
big of a
funny 'cause,
difference.
like, you guys have the worst pistols I've literally ever seen.
This ain't good. No, this ain't. It's starting to get bad. It's starting to get bad.
Christ. I'm glad one of us didn't pull out the wonder weapon, to be frank.
Like,
This is starting to get bad.
Rabbit's pistol just looks like his M19.
Dad,
Bro, you got grenades. Toss them. Or I'm a kiss you.
No, I'm happy keeping. I have a strategy, Tim. This is working. I'm not gonna fuck it up.
Dude, look at that back, or look at this atmosphere, though. Look at this map, how detailed
I'm
it
happy
is.
you're looking at the cacti.
Run away,
Turbo, just fucking die.
Oh, it's even better in third person. Even better in third person.
I'm happy I'm looking at the cacti and the fucking scenery. Jesus Christ.
Oh my
That scared me. I thought that was the end. I thought I got
Where's
cut
my
off.
death machine, huh?
Hey, the cool thing is there's no more drafts. We just sort of like go on to the next episode. You know, no more picking guns or birds.
Rabbit, can you get hit, please?
This reminds me of like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like you guys are just struggling.
I have no
always.
So fucking hard, dude. I'm trying with every ounce of.
Oh, you're just banking
I guess
on
you're-
Turbo like helping you out because you're not gonna fucking kill them at the start.
I have no ammo either way. I have no ammo. And no
You gotta use the nades, man. That's it.
Damn it.
What do you want, Tyler?
Turbo's got nothing. It's all you now, Rabbit. He's left you in this car, dude.
Talia,
Oh, no.
lay down.
Oh, these crawlers are gonna make your life hell.
No.
These crawlers are gonna make things really difficult. Oh shit! Holy shit!
I'm gonna die.
That's the
I have no
first red
grenade.
screen I had.
Dude,
I have no grenade.
That was so terrifying.
That Juggernaut coming in clutch. Who would have thought? Oh my god! Who would have thought Turbo's knife would have been more effective than his actual gun?
Come on, that has an insta kill. He's doing you dirty, dude.
Nope. You're gonna have to grab it here in a second, fuck boy.
This is so dirty. The
If I have
gameplay
to
here.
grab it, I will grab it. If I have to grab it, I will grab it. It's flicking. It's flicking. It's flicking.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm good.
Oh my goodness, dude. Y'all are ruthless. Y'all are absolute. Oh, this
Jeez, you really let that instant go like
I
that?
let it go. I let it go. I let it go.
You should have gone and knifed him to death.
I'm still knifing it. They're not giving me shit.
What do you mean? You just couldn't pick
No,
up
that's
Oh, that was so cute. Oh,
Lex, who you placing your bet on real quick before this ends?
none of them.
None of them. You think we're gonna die
Turbo
at the
now,
same
because
exact
the
time?
knife is a little bit stronger than mine.
I'm saving my money right now, dude. Oh,
Oh my
dude, that
god!
was so risky of you, dude. Why are you still alive?
Dude, at
How
the
many times have you red screened, you dumb
Dude,
bitch?
he got hit during his red screen and lived. I've literally
Lucky bitch. Hey, Turbo, if you get a max ammo, can we just grab it so we can continue this shit?
I mean, I need grenades. So yes, I need grenades.
Round 13.
Round
I'll keep the
13.
majority. Alright, Turbo, we're gonna work together for a minute.
Oh, the round train gave me more grenades.
Oh, sick.
Oh, it did!
That's true. That's huge, dude.
Bring around the road, baby.
It did.
Oh,
Wow.
tisk
I got spawned.
Hey, dude, the beginning of season 1 ended with Turbo winning.
Kaya.
So,
I have to be honest, that was the most sweaty thing I have
Oh, there you are.
I'm
Sorry.
sweating right now.
We are the champions.
no, he's got that. You got that big hot beaming sun going down on y'all too. Oh shit. Okay, so we're just gonna stand here and let it bleed out. All right, that's cool. All right, well, that was
That was
episode
intense.
1 of season 2. It was pretty intense, I would say. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Everybody's link is in the description. You know, Emox, these.
This way.
As an eye doctor, I love helping people, so help me help you. If you frequently use over-the-counter eye drops but experience temporary relief from dry eye symptoms, speak up. When I hear that, my go-to is Xiidra. Xiidra can provide lasting relief.
Xiidra treats the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. Don't use if you're allergic to Xiidra. Common side effects include eye irritation, discomfort or blurred vision when applied to the eye, and unusual taste sensation.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Last Man Standing challenge. Today, we are doing light machine guns, LMGs. We have done submachine guns, we've done shotguns and snipers. Today is, of course, LMGs, and I'm, of course, joined with the usual squad. We all picked a perk, we all picked an LMG. MJPW whipped us up a nice little map, and it's time for some solitary confinement once again. I'm excited. You guys better be ready.
Mamba mentality.
Tuco Salamanca is one of the most memorable villains out of the entire Breaking Bad universe, which says a lot considering he only has 7 episodes between both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Tuco's known for his erratic personality, as he's incredibly violent to the point that calling him completely insane isn't far from the truth. Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, we'll be chronologically recapping the full life of Tuco Salamanca as we know it, along with going in depth on what caused him to wind up the way that he was. But first, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global leader for men's grooming tools and hygiene products. Manscaped has helped me cut my shower time literally in half with their ultra premium products, including the waterproof Lawnmower 4.0 body hair trimmer, body wash, and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. They're super convenient, made specifically for the male anatomy, and smell incredible. The Manscaped Body Buffer is a handheld exfoliator brush designed to help remove dead skin, bacteria, and reduce ingrown hairs. Suppose you're currently washing with drugstore bar soaps or body wash administered by your hand. In that case, you may not be fully removing all the bacteria and oil buildup found deep inside your skin that causes body odor, clogged pores, and outbreaks. The Body Buffer is a 100% silicone-based antibacterial exfoliator that helps create more lather without harsh, painful scrubbing. Alternatives like loofahs and washcloths are super gross. They're the Manscaped promo code VIVIDKEEP. Born and raised in Mexico in 1972, and was raised by his uncle, Hector Salamanca, along with his various Salamanca cousins, including Lalo, Leonel, Marco, and potentially Joaquin as well. Not much is known of Tuco's childhood, but considering he was raised by Hector alongside the Salamanca twins, we get a pretty good idea of what that looked like via the Breaking Bad 307 flashback, which included some pretty brutal abuse to instill from a young age that family is everything. We never see Tuco himself in this flashback, but there is a photo that can be seen during both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad in Hector's room at Casa Tranquila that includes Tuco, Lionel, and Marco as children, with Hector back in Mexico. We know that Abuelita is Hector's mother, meaning that Tuco is Abuelita's grandson. Other than Hector, we know nothing about Tuco's parents or any of Hector's other siblings for that matter. Due to the whole Salamanca blood for blood mantra, it's potentially implied that Hector's siblings, along with other unaccounted for Salamancas, may have died while working for the cartel in the past, along with potentially helping set up the Salamancas to become as important as they are for the Juarez cartel in general. Sometime in the 90s at the latest, Tuco moved to Albuquerque to help Hector in the business north of the border, where he hired No-Dos, his stepbrother Gonzo, and Nacho to work under him, along with other various street dealers such as Domingo, aka Crazy 8. Since Gonzo is Tuco's brother-in-law, it's implied that Tuco must have had a sister, but any information about her is also unknown.
Found him tucked in the junkyard along with Tuco's own brother-in-law, aka Gonzo.
I treated him like a brother!
I guess it's also possible that Tuco could have had a wife, and that's how Gonzo was his stepbrother. And I believe there was a moment where Hank mentioned how Tuco had a girlfriend, but I don't really buy that he was married.
Even a little den of inequity keeps for his hag girlfriend.
Tuco clearly doesn't follow the don't do your own supply rule as a dealer, as he developed a huge drug problem while working for the Salamanca business. I'm unsure how old Tuco was when he first started getting high, but we do know that he struggled with a drug problem ever since at least the 90s. Due to Tuco's upbringing, he's always had violent tendencies, and they become amplified whenever on drugs, along with creating paranoia. The first known instance of this becoming a major problem was in the late 90s while working alongside Nacho. They had a biker connection named a dog Paulson to pick up cheap drugs from, but Tuco was high during a pickup one day and accused Dog of supplying their competitors. This resulted in Tuco killing Dog out of nowhere because he didn't believe him.
Dog Paulson. He thinks Dog is supplying his competitor trying to cut Tuco out. Dog, he denies it. Tuco doesn't even raise his voice, but suddenly he's got a sawed-off and...
Tuco did admit to feeling bad about it afterward, but whenever he's on drugs, any guilt of his actions go right out the window.
Tuco really liked Dog, kind of felt bad afterwards. But when he's using loco, crazy, there's no other way to put it.
Also, Tuco killing Dog is one of the many throwaway lines from Breaking Bad that got elaborated on during Better Call Saul, as it was originally a one-off line said by Hank during Breaking Bad that was actually expanded into a full story that Nacho ended up telling Mike during Better Call Saul.
On the hit parade, 1998, Peter Duel whacked one Dog Paulson. back when our homegrown banditos were wrestling the crate trade away from the SoCal biker gangs.
While Nacho tells Mike about Dog's fate, Nacho says how it happened in either 96 or 97. But when Hank recalls it to his apartment in Breaking Bad, he states that it happened in 98.
Back in 96, 97, Tuco and I were working with these bikers out of Riverside County.
On the hit parade, 1998.
I assume that Hank would have the correct date considering it's on file, so it's possible that Nacho simply didn't remember the exact year, but I digress. That's just arguing semantics, with the point being that it happened sometime in the late 90s in general. So on at Better Call Saul Season 1 during 2002, where he's shown to still be working with Nacho, No-Dos, and Gonzo alongside him. Due to mixing up Abuelita's vehicle with the Kettlemans, the Skater twins that Jimmy coerced into a con hit Abuelita's vehicle instead, causing her to hit and run them. The twins follow her back home, but when they accost her for money, she seems to be a mix of senile and ignorant interactions, causing Tuco to take over the situation for her. The way that Tuco handles this situation shows the perfect mixture of his violent side along with his caring side for those who he loves. Tuco can tell that the Skater twins are just a bunch of twerps, but he makes sure to politely escort his Abuelita away before dealing with them. Now this is partly just so she won't see the violence that he's about to potentially commit, but it's also due to the fact that he values his family above all, just like all the other Salamancas.
La familia es todo. La familia es todo.
So it makes sense that he'd care for her first before dealing with the two troublemakers harassing her. After sending Abuelita to her room, he questions the Skaters on the fact that although they're threatening the police, they haven't called them yet, so he knocks them both out as he's not only pissed off at them disrespecting Abuelita by calling her a biznatch, but he can also likely tell that the one Skater is obviously faking his leg injury. After Tuco is seemingly taking care of the Skaters, Abuelita pops her head out to ask about the situation and notices a red mark on her rug. Tuco excuses it as spilled salsa and she seemingly believes him. Considering the fact that Abuelita is the eldest living member of the Salamanca family, she must know what type of business they run. So I find it hard to believe that she's completely oblivious to it all, like the beginning of Better Call Saul may seem to imply. Either she's just sadly too senile at this point to recognize it, or she just purposely chooses to turn a blind eye to it as she's lived with it for far too many years now at this point. Plus, as a side note, there seems to be a trope within the cartel shows that I've watched, such as Narcos, where cartel members or leaders always show extremely high respect for their mothers and value them above all else, who all seem to be either oblivious or willfully ignorant of the atrocities that their family truly commits. Now, I'm going to put a pin in that before I start going down a potential rabbit hole of stereotypes, but since this is all we ever see of Abuelita, I figured it was important to analyze her relationship with Tuco, all the way that Tuco respects her and cares for her. Throughout both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, we've seen Tuco interact with both his elders, Abuelita and Hector, but although he shows great respect for both of them, he acts in front of Hector and towards him in ways that he seemingly would never with Abuelita.
What did you do that for? God!
Since Abuelita isn't technically involved in the cartel business like Hector is, Tuco clearly tries to avoid including her in it, or any troubles in general for that matter, such as the Skaters, so as to not worry her or stress her out about it. Also, although she's probably aware of how violent her family can be, Tuco most likely knows to avoid being violent in front of her out of respect, which is potentially why he's covering up how he beat up the Skaters in her own house. So Tuco calls Gonzo to link up with No-Dos and Nacho, as Tuco plans on kidnapping the twins with Nacho's van in order to take them out to the desert for questioning. By the time Jimmy arrives at Abuelita's place, Tuco's clearly knocked out the Skaters and tied them up in the garage, so he questions Jimmy at gunpoint, who tries talking himself out of the situation. Although Tuco calls Jimmy out for having a big mouth, Jimmy talking him down begins to work to the point that Tuco even tells Jimmy to untie the Skaters. But everything hits the fan once the Skaters stupidly open their big mouths and completely try to throw Jimmy under the bus by accusing him of being at fault for the entire situation, along with purposely wanting to scam Tuco and his Abuelita as they're somehow oblivious of the obvious target mix-up from the Kettlemans. So due to the Skaters blaming Jimmy, Tuco ends up dragging all three of them out to the desert to question them with his crew, where Jimmy tries explaining the whole misunderstanding, but Tuco doesn't believe Jimmy for multiple reasons. The first may just be simply due to how odd the whole situation is, along with Jimmy's con being somewhat unbelievable to the point that Tuco thought it was just a cover-up for an undercover operation on him of sorts. Whether Tuco is just paranoid about a three-letter agency investigating him due to business, quote, being too good, as he says to Nacho, or if it's just all due to the drugs he's been taking, or maybe a combination of both. He pressures Jimmy with the threat of torture to the point that Jimmy lies about being an undercover FBI agent just to try and tell Tuco what he thinks he wants to hear. Tuco hilariously believes this, even allowing it to stroke his ego as he calls himself a king based on the fake Operation Kingbreaker name that Jimmy comes up with.
The task force is designated Operation Kingbreaker. Kingbreaker. That makes me the king! Woohoo!
Nacho steps in, however, realizing that Jimmy is really just a lawyer and that he only came up with FBI story under pressure. Nacho is effectively the direct opposite of Tuco. Since Tuco's erratic, violent, and emotional, Nacho is smart, calm, and calculated. This allows Nacho to see the situation for what it is, and he steps in to convince Tuco to stand down and let Jimmy go. Although Tuco agrees to let Jimmy walk, he's still offended at the skaters for disrespecting his abuelita.
You called her Biznatch. They called her Biznatch, and they just walk.
And so he determines that they need to be punished. Although Jimmy is off the hook, he feels guilt over being the reason why the skaters are technically involved in all of this, so against his better judgment, he tries talking down Tuco from killing them. Since Jimmy can tell that Tuco holds his own grandmother in high regard, Jimmy tries persuading Tuco into letting the skaters live by bringing up somewhat of a sob story about their own mother, even if it's probably not true. Although Tuco initially acts like he doesn't care, this negotiating tactic does hook him long enough to listen due to a strong feeling for family. Jimmy leans into this by stating how Tuco was originally going to let them go back at his abuelita's place, calling him tough but fair. Jimmy deduces that Tuco wants justice, which at this point Tuco agrees, feeling like Jimmy is speaking his language.
You're all about justice. That's what I'll say.
So Jimmy speaks to Tuco's need for justice, but as Tuco's a Salamanca, he only knows blood for blood. Jimmy realizes this and uses it to talk up Tuco while stroking his ego in such a way that he aids in Tuco's decision-making while doubling down on how Tuco is in control of deciding the outcome of the current situation. He does this by getting Tuco to realize that he gets to play judge, jury, and executioner of sorts. Jimmy wants to satisfy Tuco's need for justice, but advises Tuco to do it in a fair way where the punishment fits the crime. As Jimmy supports Tuco in deciding their punishment, he continuously reels back Tuco's over-the-top violence by essentially using his ability as a lawyer to talk down their sentencing.
They're guilty. Yeah. Agreed. Now you have to decide what's the right sentence. Like a judge.
It's time to get happy. Starting at $1.
The right sentence. Like a judge. Like a judge.
I love how the show manages to make a desert kidnapping essentially feel like a cartel court hearing as Jimmy negotiates with Tuco down from killing the skaters to only breaking a single leg each, and they actually shake on it. Tuco gets to punish the skaters in a way where he still feels like the man, but also in a way where he's fair and just like Jimmy says.
Now show everybody that you are the man, but that you're fair, that you're just.
Even so, you can tell that Tuco fully enjoys breaking their legs as he laughs and cheers while he does so, even pointing in excitement about how one of their broken legs went completely backwards. Although Nacho was able to talk Tuco down from killing Jimmy, Jimmy was able to talk Tuco down from killing the skaters, which is an even more difficult task, and Nacho takes note of this. Out of everyone we've ever seen Tuco deal with in the Breaking Bad universe, Jimmy's one of the only people who is ever able to genuinely get Tuco to listen to reason without the intention of tricking him. Now yes, Jimmy did totally manipulate him, but I think there's a fine line between manipulating him and just straight up tricking him the way that, let's say, Walt and Jesse did in Season 2 of Breaking Bad. Some may say potato potato, but Jimmy succeeded because of the way he went about it, whereas Walt and Jesse failed because of the way that they did. Although Jimmy manipulated him, it was more in a mutually beneficial way, whereas Walt and Jesse were just straight up trying to poison him and whatnot, but we'll get to that later on in the video. Sure, it may not be that difficult to trick Tuco, but he usually eventually finds out, and then you're probably dead. This shows that although Tuco will listen to reason, if he realizes that you're, quote, punking him, as he puts it, any benefit of the doubt that he once gave you is now gone, along with any respect he had for you.
You punking me. They punking me.
This is why Jimmy is able to finally get through to him, as he's able to talk Tuco down without tricking him, while speaking his language in such a way that he hit all the key cornerstones of Tuco's character. Caring about and standing up for family, getting a fair level of justice the only way he knows how, along with still being able to enjoy enacting violence on others who did him wrong. This is what makes Tuco's character and the way that Raymond Cruz plays him so intriguing to me. Despite Tuco's naturally violent and cruel nature, he's incredibly emotional in such a way that he shows great loyalty and respect for those that he trusts, such as Nacho, along with being incredibly caring towards those that he loves, being his family. And he will stand up for them and harm whoever disrespects anyone that he cares about in either of those two categories. This was also back before Tuco went completely off the rails with his drug problem.
This kid's like a mule with his balls wrapped in duct tape.
Meaning that he was more likely to listen to reason back in 2002, as opposed to when we first meet him being completely demented and out of control during Breaking Bad in 2008. It's interesting to see how Tuco was about 6 years before the events of Breaking Bad, as you can really see where his character came from back when, at times, he still somewhat had a sane mind. This shows that although Tuco was always somewhat unhinged,
that makes me the king! Woohoo!
he was manageable when he wasn't constantly high, implying that it was possible to hypothetically keep him in check before his drug problem eventually skewed his mind beyond redemption. So after the aftermath of the whole Skater situation, Nacho visits Jimmy on the account of wanting to get more information about the Kettlemans, as he wants to rob them himself. This is our first hint that not only does Nacho like robbing criminals due to them having no recourse, that he's willing to work side gigs behind Tuco's back, as he even tells Jimmy that Tuco isn't aware of him going to see him.
He doesn't know I'm here.
The idea of Nacho having a side hustle continues near the end of the first season of Better Call Saul, when Mike is hired as a bodyguard for Price to sell pills to Nacho. Price was worried about them only having one man instead of three, but after the deal went down without any major problems, Mike reveals to Price that it was Nacho's best interest for there to be no hiccups due to not wanting his partner Tuco to find out. So on to Better Call Saul Season 2, which is still in 2002, where Mike threatens Nacho that he'll tell Tuco about Nacho's side hustle if Nacho doesn't give Price his baseball cards back that he stole, as Price has been going to the police about it. Whether Mike's threat and Nacho got him extremely paranoid, or if the idea of working behind Tuco's back is finally catching up with him, Nacho's gotten enough anxiety over it that he decides that Tuco needs to die before he eventually finds out, because if he does, it'll be Dog Paulson all over again. Nacho hires Mike to do the job, explaining that he wants Mike to kill Tuco after they're done collecting money from their street dealers at a taco shop. Apparently, Tuco and Nacho meet there once a week, every Tuesday, and that it takes all day due to Tuco giving each and every one of their dealers an intimidating stare down that he calls his lie detector test.
Tuco, he likes to get face to face. Says everything he needs to know is written right here. Looks him in the eyes, just stares like he's looking inside him. I've seen him go like that 5-10 minutes.
And what does that accomplish?
Calls it his lie detector. That's why these things go all day.
We see multiple instances of Tuco's lie detector test throughout both shows. This may be what he was doing to Jimmy out in the desert, and it may be what he will eventually do to Walt while asking if he can trust him out in the desert shack. Tuco seems to think that he has a sixth sense for whenever someone's about to screw him over, even though we've seen it disproven that he's not always right in his assumptions.
I can see the future, you know? It's this gift I have deep inside my head.
For example, Tuco killed Dog due to Dog failing his lie detector test, even though there was never any proof that came to light about Dog ever betraying him. We see Tuco giving Domingo this lie detector test during Season 2 of Better Call Saul, with Nacho wanting to vouch for Domingo afterward before asking Tuco of his opinion due to being worried about Tuco thinking negatively of Domingo, as Domingo and Nacho were lifelong family friends. So instead of killing Tuco for Nacho, Mike decides on an alternate plan that resulted in Tuco getting sent to prison. Mike took note of Nacho stating how Tuco loves to keep a watch over his car, so Mike purposely bumped into it while acting completely oblivious and ignorant of the fact. This provokes Tuco to essentially mug Mike in order to pay for the dent, as Tuco wants justice for Mike disrespecting him. Mike manages to orchestrate the altercation in such a way that Tuco is caught assaulting him red-handed just in time for the cops to arrive. Mike continues to provoke Tuco, who, realizing that he's caught red-handed, literally, still decides to get one final punch in while laughing about it.
That all you got? Get on the ground!
This is yet another example, once again, to show how much he truly enjoys committing violence, especially in this situation with nothing else to lose due to knowing that he's already caught mid-assault and about to get arrested for it. So although we don't see Tuco for the rest of Better Call Saul, there's still a few moments mentioning him that are worth, well, mentioning, with the first handful of them being about Tuco's prison sentence as a result of assaulting Mike. Now, for the rest of the show, since we just get little mentions of Tuco here and there, I'm just gonna lump the rest of Better Call Saul together, which is from 2002 to 2004. Since Tuco was caught in the act of a felony of assault, armed robbery, and possession of an illegal weapon, his initial sentencing is 5 to 10 years, probably about 8 to 10. However, Hector wants to get him released sooner, so he goes to Mike to bribe him in order to lie to the police and tell them that Tuco's gun was actually his. Mike denies this, but after many threats against both himself and his family, Mike agrees in order to keep his family safe, but only if Hector increases the price from $5,000 to $50,000. Mike then refunds Nacho the payment that Nacho gave him for sending Tuco to prison, as this means that Tuco will be released a lot sooner than initially expected.
We made a deal. I didn't hold up my end. Your problem is coming back sooner than we expected.
Also, when Mike goes to speak to the police about Tuco's gun, he's accompanied by Jimmy. Although Mike admits that the gun wasn't Tuco's, Mike doesn't say that the gun was his either, leaving neither of them culpable for it. Also, on the way out, Jimmy tries sympathizing with Mike about Tuco by opening up about his own altercation with him out in the desert, but Mike doesn't reciprocate the rapport and tells Jimmy to wait for the next elevator. During Season 3, Arturo gets a call from Los Lunas, the prison that Tuco is held in, to learn that he shanked a guy. This upsets Hector greatly, especially after all the effort that he went through to both threaten and bribe Mike to shorten his sentence in the first place.
All he had to do was 6 months. He'd be in there forever.
This explains why Tuco didn't go away for the original 10 years, but he doesn't get released as soon as Hector had anticipated after getting Tuco's gun charge dropped. In a way, this vagueness explains why he never returns to Better Call Saul. The creators may have kept Tuco's extended sentence from knifing the inmate vague on purpose due to not knowing whether or not they'd be able to get Raymond Cruz back for more Better Call Saul. Since playing the role of Tuco was so emotionally taxing on Raymond, he never really wanted to reprise his role in the first place. So with that in mind, I'm thankful that we even saw more of Tuco in general during Better Call Saul Seasons 1 and 2. That being said, it would have been really nice to see Tuco once more in the show, either see him in prison with Skinny Pete, or see him get released, or see how he potentially gets his boxing glove necklace back from Mike, but I digress. At least we got to see Tuco again for the Popcorners ad, right?
Time! Yeah!
Also, Tuco knifing someone in prison is yet another throwaway line from Breaking Bad that was elaborated on in Better Call Saul, as Hank mentioned it practically in the same breath as the whole Dog Paulson murder situation.
Also, we're pretty sure he knifed a Mexican national in 03.
Leonel talked to a guy in Los Lunas. Looks like Tuco knifed the guy.
So while Tuco's in prison for the rest of Better Call Saul, Nacho and Hector take over his position in the cartel, and then eventually Lalo too once Hector becomes wheelchair-bound. Then when Saul first meets Lalo in Season 5, 2004, Lalo mentions how Tuco told him about Saul. This implies that either Lalo or Tuco visited each other at some point off-screen, or that they had a phone call at some point to catch up. Since Tuco's potentially forgotten about Saul by now, I assume that the interaction between Lalo and Tuco may have happened before Tuco was sent to prison for assaulting Mike in Season 2, but I kinda digress as it doesn't really matter. It is a shame that we never see Lalo and Tuco on screen at the same time though. That would have been really interesting to see. I do like how Lalo's able to recognize Saul for having almost superpowers when it comes to his way with words, as he's surprised that Saul was able to talk down Tuco from killing those skaters when anyone else would have gotten brutally beaten for even trying.
You know the Tuco I know? He would have skinned them alive and let the buzzards eat their eyeballs. There you were. You go blah, blah, blah. And they walk out of there. I mean, it's amazing, really.
Lalo even calls him the guy with a mouth, referencing how Tuco once told him that he has quite a mouth on him.
Wow. You got a mouth on you. You know, Tuco told me about you. You're the guy with a mouth.
I find it funny how Saul responds to Lalo by correcting him over the fact that, although the skaters lived through the altercation with Tuco, they didn't necessarily walk away, as they were wheelchair-bound after Tuco broke a leg each. Also, Saul asks Lalo about their abuelita, but Lalo never responds, so her fate is ultimately left up in the air during the Better Call Saul era, at least, but we'll put a pin in that for now and talk about it later.
How was your lovely abuelita?
Then, near the end of Better Call Saul Season 5, as Lalo is saying goodbye to Hector before he plans to leave Albuquerque, he mentions how apparently Tuco is supposed to be released from prison in 11 months. Again, put a pin in that for now, as I'll get back to that momentarily in regard to how that doesn't quite line up with the timeline that Breaking Bad established. Right now I want to focus on what else Lalo says about Tuco to Hector. Lalo tells Hector that once Tuco's released, he'll be taking over the Salamanca business north of the border, which is what we eventually do see in Breaking Bad when we're first introduced to him. However, Lalo reassures Hector that although Tuco is a hothead when he's on drugs, which is kind of an understatement, they'll make sure that someone watches over him and keeps him clean. Clearly that never comes to fruition, as Tuco constantly has his nose in his drugs during Breaking Bad, and is completely out of control by that point. Whether there was no one to be enforced to watch over him because Lalo ended up up dying before Tuco was released, I'm unsure, but you'd think that if Hector was really worried about Tuco's hot-headedness potentially ruining their business, he'd order someone to watch over Tuco himself, whether it be the twins, Joaquin, or someone else from the cartel potentially higher up than Tuco himself. Also, when Lalo introduces Nacho to Don Eladio in the season 5 finale of Better Call Saul, Eladio gives Nacho a hard time for being a friend of Tuco's, as he implies that Nacho may not be right in the head either. This implies that Don Eladio knows Tuco quite well too, or at least has heard some horror stories, which leads me to say, yet again, it's a shame that we never saw Tuco and Eladio on screen together. For how strong the Salamanca family bond is and how close they are within the cartel, we never really see them on screen together. It would have been cool to see characters such as Tuco, the cousins, Lalo, Eladio, etc. all in a scene together. It would have been an incredibly interesting dynamic to see. And then the final instance of Tuco being mentioned in Better Call Saul is in season 6 when Kim is talking to Suzanne Erickson about Jimmy's connections with all the Salamancas and the cartel in general, although it doesn't really affect Tuco at all as it's mainly about Lalo, but Tuco does get name dropped.
Jimmy was involved in getting Tuco a reduced sentence on an assault and battery charge shortly after he represented Narco.
So on to Breaking Bad Season 1, which is in 2008, and by this time, Tuco's been released from prison and has now taken over the Salamanca business in Albuquerque. We're first introduced to him due to Walt and Jesse needing a distributor to sell their most recent batch to as a lump sum. So Jesse goes to speak to Tuco with Skinny Pete, who says he can vouch for Jesse as the middleman. As you may know, during the events of Breaking Bad, Skinny Pete is actually on probation, as he was in prison in the same cell block as Tuco. However, once Skinny and Jesse meet up with Tuco, we see how relationships on the inside don't always hold their bond once on the outside, as Tuco doesn't respect Skinny or Jesse.
Oh, what's happening, my brother? Fun, dude. Tuco's good for it. I don't need your punk ass to vouch for me!
As they first meet, Skinny mentions how Tuco was released a year ago. Since Breaking Bad happens during the fall of 2008, that implies that Tuco was released sometime during 2007 or even late 2006 at best if we're being lenient. Now to link back up to what Lalo told Hector in Season 5 of Better Call Saul during 2004, if Tuco was going to be released in 11 months like Lalo said, Tuco would have been released sometime in 2005. Due to this, we can assume that Tuco stayed in prison a tad longer than Lalo expected, as that's the only reasonable explanation to answer this potential plot hole.
Sick crib, yo. You've been keeping it real since you've been sprung. What's it been, like a year?
Now, it's also possible that Skinny Pete is just completely wrong about how long Tuco's been out for. He doesn't seem to really know, so even though he says a year, it could have been 2 or 3. So Tuco examines Jesse's product and gets him to take a bump of it before doing some himself. This begins the first of many iconic Tuco lines from the show, as he's incredibly amped up and impressed with the quality.
Booyah! Wow! this kid's like a mule with his balls wrapped in duct tape. Alright, you brought me some really clean crystal. Woo!
Tuco questions who Jesse works for, as he doesn't initially believe that Jesse would be capable of cooking up such a pure batch himself, which reminds me a lot of how Crazy 8 and Emilio didn't believe Jesse in Breaking Bad 101 as well. Anyways, Jesse admits that he has a partner that he cooks with, but that's it. This leads to Tuco potentially feeling intimidated by them as talented up-and-comers, so he essentially robs Jesse of the pound under the facade that he expects Jesse to front it to him, and that he'll receive payment later. When Jesse states that he can't give away a full pound with the promise of payment later, Tuco gets real serious, asking Jesse if he doesn't trust him, which again may loop back into the whole idea of trust that Tuco is so obsessed with. Jesse reads the room and gets spooked, but fails to escape. Tuco then taunts and leads on Jesse with the idea that he's actually going to pay him, as Tuco does end up giving Jesse his money up front, but not in the way that he initially suspects. In reality, it's just a trick, as Tuco ends up beating Jesse with the bag of cash instead, giving us another iconic line.
Nobody moves crystal in the South Valley but me!
Clearly, Tuco is protective of his territory and doesn't want Jesse getting the wrong idea that it's okay to cook and sell within it. Although Tuco could have made the deal of his life by just allowing Jesse to become his new supplier, he doesn't know Jesse or respect him, as Skinny Pete's vouching clearly means nothing. So this results in Jesse being hospitalized, where Walt visits him and gets the rundown of the situation from Skinny. It's kind of funny how Walt originally told Jesse to grow some balls to go talk to Tuco, but in reality that wasn't the right move, with Walt now being the one to take his own advice in order to solve the problem of the current altercation. So Walt gets led into Tuco's HQ, same as Jesse and Skinny, where Tuco mocks Walt for being a fool for bringing him another pound right after he beat up and robbed Jesse. It's also interesting how Tuco doesn't try the product that Walt brings, or ask for Walt to try it himself to make sure it's legit like he did with Jesse, but after the pure pound that he stole from Jesse, I guess Tuco just assumes it's the same stuff, as it looks identical. This is also where we get the real first introduction to Walt's Heisenberg persona, as he not only feels the need to give an alias to hide his real name, but also giving himself this pseudonym allows him to unleash a more intimidating side of him that has laid dormant his entire life. Tuco initially laughs at Walt's demand of $50,000, which is the sum of $35,000 that he owes Jesse, along with another $15,000 for his pain and suffering. For Walt to gain the upper hand on the situation, he executes the badass
This is not
moment as Walt takes a crystal and throws it on the floor, causing a massive explosion. This clearly gains Tuco's respect, as Walt shows dominance where Jesse did not. In a way, it seems like in order to gain Tuco's respect, Walt needs to strong-arm him by acting just as ballsy as Tuco would himself, as Walt essentially alphas an alpha in order to put him in his place. With Walt now essentially holding him up with a huge bag of explosives, Tuco agrees to pay for what he stole from Jesse, along with making a deal to work with them in the future. Tuco excuses mugging Jesse as sometimes you gotta rob to keep your riches, as Tuco thinks that he needs to sometimes do messed up things to keep respect and show who's boss. In a way, Walt and Tuco understand each other in this moment, as Walt is doing to Tuco what Tuco previously did to Jesse. As Tuco will say to Jesse in the next episode, respect, sometimes you gotta give it to get it. Walt demands that Tuco must take 2 pounds of product the following week and not just 1, which is a recurring theme that Walt demands throughout the show in order to sound like a badass. Still, as Tuco also tells him in the next episode, when they come up short, talk is talk. So they meet up in the junkyard the next week, where Walt and Jesse are only able to provide a half pound instead of 2. Tuco admits that he thought Walt was a player, but he's disappointed at Walt's failure to provide what he demanded that Tuco should take, showing how Walt is losing the respect from Tuco that he had gained from their last confrontation. In order to try and keep the secret, Walt doubles down again, this time demanding 4 pounds. Tuco calls him out for talking big but not being able to back it up, especially since Walt demands the cash from the original 2 pounds in advance, causing Tuco to threaten Walt over the fact that owing him money is very bad, which normally I would definitely agree.
Can you handle 4 pounds?
Listen, old man, talk. Just talk. Owing me money.
Have you lost Medicaid or CHIP? At healthcare.gov, 4 out of 5 customers can find a quality plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Enroll in a plan today at healthcare.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Listen, old man, talk. Just talk. Owing me money. That's bad.
So in order to solve their production problem, Walt and Jesse steal a barrel of new ingredients to switch up their formula and be able to produce the amount required. Not only does this give them enough ingredients to do so, but also increases the purity of their product, being the first time that we ever see the blue sky in the show. Also, side note, I feel like I gotta give this disclaimer for every Breaking Bad retrospective, but due to recently strict YouTube ad-friendly restrictions, I'm not even allowed to say the name of the drug that Breaking Bad is all about, so that's why I've been avoiding saying the M-word or censoring it out when I do have it in my videos. Anyways, they meet up with Tuco the following week, and Tuco initially seems skeptical about the blue tint, but after trying it, he's clearly impressed. Fun fact, Tuco is actually the first person in the whole show that we see trying out Blue Sky on screen, and that's incredibly fitting in my opinion considering how iconic his initial reaction has become.
Oh, tight, yeah! Blue, yellow, pink! Whatever, man, just keep bringing me that.
Couldn't make an entire retrospective about Tuco without putting that in the video, now could I? I just gotta refrain from doing it every 5 minutes from here on out. So this time the deal goes smoothly, but of course this needs to be undercut by sudden conflict in order to continue the show. If Walt and Jesse could just peacefully make deals with Tuco until Walt has enough money to quit, that would be a wrap right there. So of course there needs to be a problem that arises to stop their potential future transactions from going as smoothly as this one has gone so far. So this conflict comes in the form of Tuco lashing out at NoDoz for speaking out of turn one too many times. Since Tuco has now acquired a mutual respect with Walt and Jesse, it feels like Tuco is standing up for them by twisting NoDoz's words as if they're somehow offensive and or passive-aggressive. NoDoz unnecessarily reminds Walt and Jesse who they're working for, which leads Tuco to the conclusion that they don't already know that, which must mean that NoDoz thinks they're stupid. As NoDoz tries to backpedal without a good excuse for the misunderstanding, Tuco then accuses NoDoz of calling him stupid as well. Walt tries de-escalating the situation by trying to get Tuco to calm down, which causes Tuco to flip his emotions on and off on a dime. One of the many reasons why I love the performance of Tuco in this show is how well Raymond Cruz goes from acting completely serious and intimidating to lightening the mood by just laughing it off. Take this situation for example. Tuco goes from being all serious in NoDoz's face to laughing it off when Walt says something, then all of a sudden beating up NoDoz out of nowhere. These misdirects leave Walt and Jesse, and the viewers, unaware of Tuco's next move at any given moment, which perfectly complements his sporadic and unpredictable behavior. Just because Tuco is cool with you in the moment, doesn't mean that he won't be beating your face to a pulp the next. Now to focus on Tuco lashing out at NoDoz speaking out of turn for a moment. We actually saw NoDoz unnecessarily interrupt the situation out in the desert during Better Call Saul 102, while Tuco and Jimmy were negotiating the punishment for the skaters. While Tuco suggests outlandishly violent punishments such as Colombian neckties, Jimmy suggests the complete opposite end of the scale, starting with black eyes. Tuco laughs at this, but stops once NoDoz butts in to mention how one of the skaters already has black eyes. Tuco diverts his attention towards NoDoz and gets right up in his face, telling him to stop helping, showing how NoDoz has had a bad habit of speaking out of turn for years now, even before this scene in Better Call Saul during 2002.
That one there, Holmes, he already got a black eye, fool.
Stop. Oh. Let's remember who you're working for. What did you say?
Also, during the initial Walt and Tuco confrontation during Breaking Bad Season 1, Gonzo also speaks out of turn, echoing Tuco's mockery of Walt's plan for initially seeming stupid.
I steal your dope. I get the piss out of your mule boy, and then you walk in here and you bring me more? Woo, that's a brilliant plan, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Tuco doesn't give Gonzo a hard time like he does NoDoz, however. I wonder if Tuco's playing favorites, considering Gonzo is his stepbrother, but regardless, it shows that although both of his henchmen unnecessarily back him up, NoDoz is the one who is constantly given a hard time for it and eventually pays for it.
Whoa! Damn, man, look at that, look!
But on to Breaking Bad Season 2, which is still in 2008, because since Season 2 of Breaking Bad picks up right where Season 1 left off, there isn't really a definite cut between the two as they technically overlap. Anyways, as Tuco leaves while getting Gonzo to drag NoDoz's body away, Walt and Jesse realize that their smooth transaction with Tuco is not only a first, but also potentially a last. As they return to Jesse's car, Walt calculates how much money he needs to be able to quit cooking and dealing, implying that he's still willing to continue dealing with Tuco until then, even though what they just saw should make them want to quit right then and there. However, as they go to drive away, Tuco returns and drags NoDoz out of the vehicle, revealing that NoDoz is having a seizure due to the blunt force head trauma that Tuco just inflicted on him. With Tuco in denial that NoDoz is dying, he forces Walt and Jesse to attempt CPR on him, as if that would simply solve the problem. This goes to show that he's also in denial of what he just did, which is mainly the idea. As badass as Tuco tries to appear, we don't actually know how many murders he's committed. We know about Dog Paulson, we know how he stabbed someone in prison, and now NoDoz, but that's it. You'd think that someone like Tuco would have potentially taken countless lives without a care, but the way he reacts to NoDoz both here and in the future episode shows otherwise. It makes me wonder if maybe Tuco got the teardrop tattoo from Dog, with Dog being the only person that Tuco has actually technically killed before NoDoz. This just goes to show that although Tuco appears unforgivingly violent, he's not a mass murderer like his cousins such as Lalo or the twins, who can kill without batting an eye as if they're just simply swatting a fly. But back on track. With NoDoz now dead, Walt and Jesse try backing away, stating that their business has concluded. Although Tuco tries portraying a cold, uncaring demeanor in this moment, he's clearly shaken up over just accidentally killing NoDoz and lashes out on Walt and Jesse because of it. As Walt and Jesse leave, they become paranoid that Tuco wants to kill them due to being witnesses to NoDoz's murder. First, Jesse thinks that he's seen Tuco's vehicle rounding his block multiple times, which Walt tries brushing off, that is until he believes that he then sees Tuco staking out his house as well. Fun fact, it's been confirmed by the creators of the show that the vehicle that Walt saw wasn't actually Tuco, and it was just some random civilian coincidentally in a similar looking vehicle. So with them thinking that Tuco has been staking out their houses on top of finding out that Gonzo is now dead too through Hank, Walt and Jesse think that Tuco is clearing house of any witness to the No-Do's murder and that he'll be coming for them next. In a way, Walt and Jesse are getting paranoid over nothing, causing them to want to take out Tuco first before he can take them out, when in reality, Tuco isn't after them for being witnesses to No-Do's murder at all. However, although Walt and Jesse's paranoia is over a misunderstanding, it's coincidentally proven justified for an alternative reason, as Tuco ends up kidnapping both of them and bringing them out to the desert. This situation is incredibly complex and brilliant due to there being three sides to the equation. There's what Walt and Jesse think, there's what Tuco thinks, and then there's the reality of it all. Walt and Jesse think that Tuco's going to kill them due to being witnesses to No-Do's, and then Tuco kidnaps them while being worried that Gonzo snitched on him to the DEA, when in reality, Gonzo's death was just a tragic accident from Gonzo going behind Tuco's back to retrieve No-Do's body to give him the proper burial that Tuco denied of him in the Season 1 finale. Tuco got spooked by Gonzo going quiet, so he grabbed Hector and fled to the desert shack that we see him also bring Walt and Jesse to. Turns out that the DEA raided Tuco's HQ on account of them discovering Tuco's bloody fingerprint from the crime scene, where they discovered the bodies of Gonzo and No-Do's in the junkyard. However, since Tuco doesn't know that Gonzo accidentally died while trying to move No-Do's body, he assumes that Gonzo went quiet due to ratting him out, which is why he thinks that his HQ got raided. This is a part of that sixth sense that he thinks he has, even though he's completely wrong. So out at the desert shack, Tuco breaks and discards Walt and Jesse's phones, and then brings them inside to search the contents of their pockets, where he learns of Walt's real name along with his family, which may confirm that Tuco wasn't staking out Walt's house at all, because if he was, he would have already known about Walt's true name and his family. Tuco then gets Walt one of his classic lie detector tests that I talked about earlier, and Walt seems to pass, at least for now, which causes Tuco to open up about his theory of Gonzo snitching him out. This causes Walt and Jesse to realize that Tuco didn't actually kill Gonzo due to him still thinking that Gonzo's alive, and acting as a CI for the DEA. Tuco thinks that Gonzo snitched on him due to him being upset about No-Do's death, which leads to Tuco deflecting guilt for No-Do's death by acting like it was his own fault for not knowing his place.
He's been acting all pouty on account of No-Do's.
It's my fault. That little bitch did not know his place.
Although Tuco knows that it's his fault deep down inside, he's clearly still angry about it and in denial of taking the blame for it, thinking of any reason he can to deflect the potential guilt that he feels about it. Again, this shows that although Tuco is a ruthless maniac, he's not as much of a cold-blooded killer like the rest of the members of his family are. And I just want to take a side note to emphasize how wrong Tuco is about his sixth sense gut feeling. Tuco was wrong to kill Dog Paulson. He was wrong to suspect Jimmy and the skaters of being undercover agents investigating him, and here he's wrong about Gonzo snitching on him. Although it's a rule of thumb to trust your gut, Tuco goes above and beyond to the point that he stubbornly believes in what he thinks even when it's clearly incorrect. And I mean, well, that's probably the whole point and why the creators even put that in the show, because Tuco thinking that he's psychic or something just makes him seem even more unhinged and insane. Anyways, this leads to Tuco's breakdown over being convinced that Gonzo betrayed him, which again understandably scares Walt and Jesse, as Tuco could easily lash out at them the exact same way if he suspects them of any wrongdoing as well.
I was good at him! I was good! I see Gonzo! I'm gonna shoot him! I'm gonna stop his eye for Harry! Back! Harry! Time I could! Should've been a good lesson to myself! You never trust the people that show love!
As badass as Tuco likes to act, he's still an incredibly emotional character. Usually he mostly shows his emotions through violence and anger, but during his emotional outpour about Gonzo, you can tell how passionate Tuco is about people that he loves, even if he's kinda crazy saying so, and how hurt he feels when he believes that he's been betrayed by someone that he trusts. Raymond Cruz does an impeccable job in this scene here, as he's completely driven by his emotions, showing how erratic and insane Tuco can get, even though he's set in his own code of morals. As Tuco stabs the table in anger, it's a clear parallel to when he beat up No-Do's, with the camera focusing on Walt and Jesse witnessing the sheer violence that Tuco is capable of. Then, right after his uncontrollable rage, he returns to the living room, and is instantly calm again, once again showing that he purposely turns his emotions on and off with the flip of a switch. Well, maybe not on purpose. I don't think he does it in a calculated way like Lalo Salamanca, as this is again supposed to show how insane he is. Makes me wonder if Tuco's drug problem stems from his upbringing to the life that he surrounds himself with, as we can see him wanting to take drugs to cope with the current situation that he's in. And also in regard to Tuco's insanity, is it nature versus nurture? That's a whole conversation on its own, which I will get into near the end of the video. So Tuco plans on bringing Walt and Jesse by association down to Mexico to be the new cartel cooks, as he plans on making a lot of money with Walt's blue sky. It's worth noting how coldly Tuco reacts to Walt not wanting to uproot his life.
I have a wife and family.
Mom got me this sauce all the way from Bangladesh. I don't know how to read Bengali, so we're gonna use the Google app. Now let's open the Google app, open up Lens, click translate. Wow, that's cool. And as we saw from the translation,
So what? You'll get another one.
As Tuco tells Walt that he can just easily get a new family, as if there's some materialistic item that can be thrown away and easily replaced, like a phone or even a car or a house. Since Tuco joked about using Walt's family as collateral, I'm not surprised that he wouldn't care about forcing Walt to uproot his life and discard them, but it's still interesting how Tuco doesn't care about Walt's attachment to his family, considering Tuco's strong bond to his